In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a global weather app using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We are going to use a free weather API to get this done. We are going to start from scratch and we will be seeing how to use this API and display the data over to the screen using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Let's move on to our computer screen and let's get started. So as already discussed, to be honest, I don't have any game plan for this video. I'm going to find some free API which will give me the weather, and after that what I'll do is I will plug that API into my Next.js application. Let's see how all this process goes. So let me take you to my computer screen first and let me create a new project, and that project is going to be a Next.js project. So let me right click on code playground and click on new terminal at folder. By doing this, I'm opening a new terminal with this directory. Okay, so I'll do something like this: create Next app. Okay, and this is a utility to create a Next.js app. Okay, let me do one more thing. I'm going to move this to my desktop number 3. I'm going to open VS Code, which is going to be in my desktop number 1, and desktop number 2 is going to be this. This way I can do Windows plus arrow keys by doing this on Mac. This is also available on Windows in some of the devices. Okay, so let me paste this command here. Let me paste this command. Let me also make it a little bit bigger so that you can see. So I'm saying yarn create next app. By doing this, I'm creating a Next.js application wherein I can create a weather next app. Okay, no, I don't want to use TypeScript, no ESLint, no SRC, no experimental app directory, and I'm going to continue with the default options. It is going to take some time, and in the meantime what I'll do is I'll fire Visual Studio Code and I'll click on file. I'll say open, not open, I'll say open folder. I want to open a folder, or you can also do something like this. So this is the folder weather next app. I can drag this folder here and weather next app is now open, as you can see. Let me see if this is created or not, because I haven't yet checked whether it's created or not. So it's still creating it. We need to wait for it, and in the meantime let's find a weather API so that we can use it with our application. So weather API, let me see if we find some good weather API which can tell us about weather for free. So free weather API, I'm looking for some free weather API. JSON and XML weather API in geolocation. Is it free for some of the calls? Yes, it is free weather API. Let me sign up here. Let me see if this is useful or not. So I'll sign up here. So I'll put in my email ID, harry@codewithharry.com. I'm going to retype my email ID and I'm going to use a strong password. No, I'm not a robot. I have read the terms and conditions. Let me read it. Yeah, so you can read the terms and conditions and you can click on sign up. And this process is fairly simple. They have sent me a verification email. Let me complete this process and I'll be back. So they sent me an account activation email. Now I can simply click on login and I should be able to log into their app. And let me see if this is even useful, because I've encountered a lot of applications in my life wherein I'm signing up only to find out that I'm not able to use it, okay, for one reason or the other. So this is the free API key that they have provided. Please, for God's sake, don't use my API key. Please sign up yourself and use your API key. This way it becomes difficult for me to, use this application in the future if I decide to use it. So let me do one thing. No, one thing. Let me make one thing clear. You don't have to use this API. You can use any API of your choice. Okay, but I'm using this API just for demonstration purposes. You can find some free APIs. I'm not spending a lot of time. I think they are having some trial date, and after that it is going to get paid. But again, there are many free weather APIs which you can find on Rapid API, or you can even simply Google search and spend some more time and you should be able to find some API. Okay, with that said, let me see how I can use this API, because I don't know how to use this API. So I want to actually use it with Python, with the Next.js. So let me see if they have any documentation or something. So I'm clicking on weather API, view docs. This is the documentation for weather API. And do they have a JavaScript API example? So you can use this if you want JSON API, they are saying. So my API key is actually copied on the clipboard. So let me do something like this and then paste. And they are free for a certain number of API calls, after which you'll have to pay. Now again, do not expect to get something for free. And that too unlimited. If you are making some money out of it, you might consider paying for it. It's as simple as that. Wow, it works. So the API works, which is great. Let me now go to Bootstrap. I'll say getbootstrap.com, or I'll show you one more thing, because we have already used Bootstrap in our previous projects. So let me take a different approach this time. I'll say I want to use Tailwind CSS with Next.js. You can simply Google this up. If you look it up on Google, you'll land on this page. Okay. Now, if you want to use Tailwind CSS with Next.js, all you need to do is run these commands. So this is done. So I'll close this terminal and I'll open this terminal, which is inside my weather app folder, weather next app folder. This is the Next.js app. This is the code which Next.js has automatically given me. Let me paste what I copied and I'm going to use yarn. You might be interested in using npm, but I'm saying yarn add -d this. And let me copy another command. So you need to run all these commands one by one. Okay, as simple as that. So as you can see, I'm running all these commands, and very quickly I'm going to change my tailwind.conf.js to this file. Oops, I actually accidentally pressed Ctrl C instead of Ctrl V. But no problems, I'm going to press Ctrl V next time. I'm not going to make any mistakes. Now inside of your global.css, which is inside styles, you put this, okay? And after that, you can run yarn dev. Yarn dev will start a development server, and you can control click on localhost 3000, which will open this thing. I'll show you something which is very interesting and you will definitely love it. I'll go to tailblocks.cc, and tailblocks.cc is an amazing website for quick designs. So you can copy all this design to your application. I'll show you how, but before that, let me click on view code and show this to you in action. So you don't have to press Ctrl C or anything, simply copy this code. And you know what? What's the best part? The best part is that you can even change the color scheme. So let us say I want to change the color scheme to say green or whatever. I'm not sure if they change it to change this color scheme even in the code below. Yes, they do. If I make it blue, it looks like this. If I make it green, so let me make it purple. So I'm going to use purple color scheme. Let me see if they have any navbar or something. Feature. Yeah, they have a footer. This footer looks clean. So let me copy this code. I'll copy this code to clipboard and I'm going to create a component. I'll create a components folder, and inside components folder, I'm going to say footer.js, and I'm going to say RAFCE, which is a shortcut for React function component. Make sure that you have these two extensions installed. The first one being Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. You must install this extension to get the IntelliSense from Tailwind CSS. The second extension which I want you to install is ES7 React Redux GraphQL snippets. It's called ES7 React Redux snippets now, I guess. ES7 React, this one, React Redux snippets, this one. ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippets. So this extension is amazing because it helps a lot. Let me copy the code here. Now sometimes when you copy the code, in fact all the time, not sometimes, all the times when you copy the code from a native HTML page to your React app, you'll have to replace class is equal to with class name is equal to. So I'll say change all occurrences and I'll replace this class with class name is equal to. And let me see if there are any errors or something. No, there are no errors. In a very similar way, I'm going to create a navbar. So I'll say navbar.js. Let me say RAFCE. And I'm going to grab a navbar somewhere from here. And I know they have navbars because I've seen in the past, but I'm not able to find it. Let me quickly search for the navbar. Where are you, navbar? I am looking for, okay, so they call it header. So let me grab some header of my liking. Yeah, this looks fine. This, the first one is quite good. Let me copy this one, copy to clipboard, and it's all copy paste game. Seriously guys, it's that simple. Now you might want to create your own UI, I know that, but I don't want to waste a lot of time in coding coding UI, not AI. Okay, so this is how our Next.js app looks because we have not done anything so far. So let me go to pages, app.js, and I'm going to add the navbar here. So what I'll do is I'll create a React fragment, and inside of this React fragment, I'm going to add navbar. So I'll say navbar. Notice that it has automatically imported the navbar, which is great. And I'm going to say footer. You might also call it header, footer. The naming convention is all up to you. Okay. Now let me see if I get the header and footer inside my app.js. No, I cannot see any header or footer. There is something wrong here. I'm not sure what is wrong. Okay, so we are not returning this fragment. We need to return this fragment. So the return statement should be just beside this fragment, or you can even wrap it inside of a bracket. That way you can even move it down. Okay. No, you need to keep it in the same line as return. Okay, so you need to keep it in the same line, because if you bring it here, it is not going to return it. Okay, so this is something which you need to take care of. Okay, so you can see that I am able to see my header and I'm able to see my footer. I know that it is very simple for you to change this and also change all these things. So let's do this. Let's do this, because until we change this, it's not going to look like our website. So let me call it home, and let me call it maybe London. We are going to call this one as Delhi. So this will show Delhi's weather. You can structure the app like as per your liking. Okay, and let me call it New York. Now I'll say weatherx. Weatherx is the name of our, say, weather company, which will show us the weather of different places. So let me format document just so that I can make it look good. So weatherx, home, London, Delhi, New York button. Okay, or maybe let me call it home, about us. Okay, weather, and let me also add contact us. Now you can code this and you can make people contact you. You can save the entries to the database. There is a lot which could be done. Okay, so let me do one thing here. Let me give users an option to search for a given weather. Now I'm not liking this button. I don't know why. So let me do one thing. Let me grab some good button from tail blocks, and I'll see if I can find some good button. This button looks pretty good. So let me see, where is this button? So this is the button. So the best part about using Tailwind CSS is that you can copy paste from different places and it just works. Okay, Alt Z for word wrap. I want to toggle word wrap actually. Yeah, now it looks good. So as you can see that this button now looks like this. Okay, but there is a problem. I think it has shifted my UI, but I'm fine. I'm fine with this. The next step is index.js. Let's open index.js and let's remove all this boilerplate code. So this is the boilerplate code which Next.js has given us. We have removed this boilerplate code, and this button is not looking good. So let me call it login, maybe login, and user can click here and they can log in if they want. I also might want to add a sign up button. So let me create another copy of this and call it sign up. So login, sign up. Let me see what's going on here. So if I inspect, so this div is a flex box. Okay, got it. Item center. Now this is an anchor tag. Okay, makes sense. Now this is a button and it is going towards the right. I'm not sure why. It's a flex box. This button is a flex box. Why is this button a flex box? No, it's part of this flex box. It's part of this flex box. So let me do one thing. Let me wrap it inside of a div. You know, the worst part about using somebody else's code is that you don't know what is going on. And yes, it is a bad thing for sure. So let me add a class. I'll say class name is equal to flex. Okay, and let me see space x. I'll say space x3, space x2 maybe. It will add some spacing on the x-axis, and now this looks pretty good. Let me also change the footer to weatherx so that it looks good. And you can change the links and, you know, all the things. It's really very simple to change all these links to your company name or whatever you want. So I'll just change this tail blocks to weatherx just so that it looks good. And I can even change this tagline to weather at your fingertips. Weather at your fingertips. Okay, so this is how it is looking at this point. Now I need to change the index.js page. So let me go to index.js and start coding. And to be really very honest, I'm simply going to change the title of this page, and I'm going to copy everything else as far as the UI is concerned from tail blocks. Okay, so let me call it weather X, your weather assistant or something. I don't know. I don't even know if this tagline makes sense or not. I've simply written something. You can change your title as per your liking. You can make your website SEO friendly, and this looks pretty good. Okay, let me see if it's responsive or not. And it should be responsive. I'm expecting it to be responsive, and yes, it is pretty responsive. Amazing. This looks good. This really looks good, and this is responsive. Wow, I'm really very impressed. Let me see how it looks on an iPhone 12 Pro. It looks good. Wow, awesome. Okay, so time to code the index.js. Let me see what I can add inside of my index.js. Should I add a slider or something? Should I add some info or something? I don't know. I'm simply figuring out. I'm just finding the best page which could potentially be my index.js. Let me copy this. This is looking good to me, and this is good. Okay, and let me change class is equal to Control F, and let me, so I'm using Control F because I'll do it very frequently, and I want to simply press Control F and simply click here to replace all the classes equal to with class name is equal to. Is everything looking good? No, it is not, because we need to close our img tag. So I'll toggle word wrap and I'll do this. Okay, good. Everything is good now. Let me see how the app looks at this point. It looks like this, but let me add something. Let me say, let us say that Elon Musk has given our company a very good rating, and he has said that I use WeatherX to see weather, to check weathers before I travel to different countries. So I'll say Elon Musk, and Elon Musk says, this app is amazing. I always check weather of different countries I travel to using WeatherX, and it never fails to disappoint me. Okay, so, and we can even add Elon Musk's photo here. Okay, so I'm just teaching you how you can make your app interesting. Sometimes you might add these type of things to your demo apps, and it will actually appeal to the person who is seeing, because they know that you are creative. Okay, so let me copy this from Wikipedia. This is a Wikipedia image. Can I change the src of this image here? So let me do one thing. So where is the image? It's an svg. I'm going to call it an img, and I'm going to put the src as this, and I'm going to see how it looks. It's going to look horrible, but no, it's looking pretty good. I thought it's going to look horrible, and I might, have to fix the CSS of this, but this is looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm very convinced. So Elon Musk, this app is amazing, and I'm going to use ChatGPT for you. You know what? You'll see for what. So I'll say write a headline for homepage of a weather app called WeatherX. Okay, so I'll not headline, I think I should call it a short description. Should I say, please rewrite in 500 words? And in the meantime, I'm going to copy this, because whatever ChatGPT has generated will look better than what was already there. Okay, and also let me grab some image, weather image, and I know I need to come to point and start showing the weather, but again, let me just allow me to add one more image, and then we'll be back to work. Okay, so let me add this image, open image in new tab, copy, Let me change the src of this image to this, and let me see how it looks. So yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, it looks pretty good. Now you might want to change the image, or you might want to increase the height of this image. You might want to increase the span of this image, and you might even remove this object cover, which will show the entire image, but it might even distort the image. But again, I'm going to leave it as it is at this point, because I want to focus more on this weather page. Okay, so this is the home page. I'm going to copy ChatGPT's response, and I'm simply copy pasting it, whatever ChatGPT has generated. Let me copy paste it here, and let me see how the app looks now. It looks pretty good, and this is looking really very nice. Okay, now you can check for the responsiveness and other things, but I'm going to create different pages for about, for contact, and for the weather. So the first page which I'm going to create is weather.js. I'll say RAFCE, this is the weather page. The next page which I want to create is about.js, and I'll say RAFCE about, and then the next page which I want to generate is contact.js RAFCE, and this is contact page. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pages ready. Let's come back to a navbar. Making navbar as a component makes it very easy for us to change the contents again and again. Okay, so if I want to change this to a link tag, I can always do that. So I can always make it a link tag. Okay, so it will import next link, and I'll change it to link, and I'll say, you know what, the href of this is going to be slash. Okay, and I'll make this as about, I'll make this as weather, I'll make this as contact. You can change the footer links as well, and this is automatically gets cursor pointer when we use next link. Did you notice that? It's pretty interesting. So let me click on weather, and you can see that we get this weather written here. So I'm not coding the about page. I leave it up to you. I know that I can always copy things from tailblocks.cc, but I'm not going to waste time there. I want to show you the weather app in action. I'm not going to code login and sign up. You can always do that. You can always complete this app, but let me come to this weather page and let's see how beautiful we can make this app. So let me give it a class name of container and mx auto, and also bg red 50. This will show me this div. So this is centered and it looks pretty good, which is why I've given it this mx auto and container. Let me remove this and let me grab something from here. So I need to show the weather of different places, and I'm going to find the best UI for that. How about I use this one? This looks pretty good, but I'm looking for something which even has images. So this is good actually. So let me see if I can find something even better. Yeah, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. Let me copy the code of this thing and let me paste the code of this here, and let me say Control F. I want to change all class is equal to class name is equal to, and I also want to toggle word wrap, and I want to fix this, and then we have another image. We'll fix this as well, and also fix this, and let's see how it looks now. So this is how it looks at this point. Let me change all these texts to weather app, weather X, and let me change this text to something. Search for a location and we will fetch the weather for you. Okay, for you. Yeah, search for a location and we will fetch the weather for you. And you know, I might also want to show an input tag here. So let me say, you know what, I want to put an input tag here, input, and let me say text, input text, and name is equal to search, id is equal to search, and I'll give it a class firstly I want to give it a full width. How does it look? Where is my, yeah, this is my input tag. So it's very raw. So let me give it an outline, or let me give it a border of border black, and also let me change the padding. So I'll say P4. Let me see how it looks. It looks just fine, but I think I've given it a lot of padding. I should give it margin of 2, not padding. I want to give it a margin of 2, and also I want to make it rounded. So you can also do one more thing. You can search for an input tag online, and you might get some input tag, or even you can get some input tag from tail blocks. But let me show you how you can write your own input tag. So what you can do is you can click on inspect, and you can add a border radius. If I increase the border radius, it will look something like this. So let me give it a class, which is a class in Tailwind CSS. I'll call it rounded MD, and I'll see how it looks. If I give it rounded MD, yeah, it looks good. And also I can change the border color to say red or something, but I can change the border color to purple. So let me add a class. I'll say border purple 400, and I'll give it a py of 2. Let me see how it looks. Py of 2 is too much, I guess. Let me give it py of 1. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks. Okay, and also I want to make the border a bit thick, so I'll say border MD, or maybe border LG. How do I increase the border? Border 2, border 3. Yeah, I think I can increase the border by doing this. And yeah, border 2 looks clean to me. So I can type something here, and then I can have a search weather button. So I'll grab my button from here, because I've already written a button inside of my navbar, so I don't want to repeat the process again and again. Let me copy this button and let me paste it right after my input tag. So let me remove this border, and yeah, so here is the login button. Why is it moving towards the right? Let me inspect it and see what's going wrong here. So ML auto. Okay, so it has an ML of auto. I want to remove this ML auto from this button. So where is ML auto? It's here. Yeah, so now it will come here. So let me give it an MX of say 4, and yeah, it looks good now. Or maybe 3, maybe 3. Yeah, it looks good now. So I want to change the text to search weather. Okay, I want to change the text to search weather. Now I want to give it an on change handler. I'll say whenever this input is changed, called handle change. Okay, and whenever this button is clicked, call handle click. Okay, and I'm going to code these two functions here. So let me say const handle change is equal to ANFN, which is an arrow function, and let me write some code here. So I'll say, you know what, whenever somebody types in here, do one thing: set the query to e.target.value, and e.target.value is going to be the value inside of this this input tag, and I'm going to say value is equal to query. Now you might wonder what is query. So I'm going to use state snippet, and I'll say query set query is equal to use state blank. Okay, so I'm using a blank query. So query is the value inside of this input tag. Whenever I change this query, it will call this handle change, which will set the query to this. And also let me call use state and also use effect. Okay, let me see how it looks. Handle click is not defined. Okay, let me code handle click really quick. Handle click. So I'll say whenever somebody is clicking on the search weather button, we will handle the click, and we are going to show the weather of that particular location right below this search bar. Okay, and these three boxes will have default weather for three cities, say Delhi, London and New York. Okay, so let me grab pictures for Delhi, London and New York. So I'll find three images and I'm going to plug in those images there. So I'll plug those images and I'll be back. Copy image address and I'll paste it here in place of src. And let me see how it looks. Yeah, it looks good. And let me grab some image for London. This one is looking pretty good. Copy image address and I'm going to paste it here in place of dummy image. Let me grab the same for New York. I want to have some good image of New York. So yeah, this image is representing New York very nicely. Copy image address and let me paste it here. Okay. Wow, it looks really amazing, guys. It looks very amazing. Did you see that? So in place of shooting stars, this, that, I'm going to write London. Let me call it London. And let me call this Delhi. And let me call this New York. Okay. So London, Delhi, New York. Why is it not taking New York? Why 400? I'm not sure. Okay, it changed to New York. Nice. So they have these learn more buttons here, but let me remove these. I don't want to have these learn more buttons. We can always customize our UI, right? So let me remove all these A tags because I don't need them. Now inside of my use effect, snippet, what I'll do is I will say fetch the weather for London, Delhi and New York. Okay, so it says third is not defined. What is not defined? Okay, now let me go back to that API, that weather API link. So these are the parameters which it is showing me. So they even have an icon. Okay, and last update epoch, last updated temperature in Celsius, temperature in Fahrenheit. So you can have all these parameters displayed inside of these cards. But let me say let weather is equal to fetch, and I'm going to fetch this. Query is equal to London. I'm not sure if I can fetch London, New York and Delhi weather. Can I? No, I cannot. I guess you can only search weather for one city at a time. I've not read the documentation, to be honest. I just discovered this weather API. So you might want to read the documentation, and who knows, you can get some you can get a way to fetch 3 cities weather at once. So I'll say const fetch weather and I'll say query is equal to an arrow function, ANFN query, and inside of this I'll say q is equal to query. Okay, now I'll make it an async function, we'll await it. Okay, and also we'll say let the response is equal to await weather.json, and I'll say console.log response, which means show me the response. Let me see what the response turns out to be. So where is the response? So no response. Why? Because I haven't called the fetch weather function. So I'll say fetch weather, and the moment I run this fetch weather, it shows me an error, no matching location found. Okay, so I haven't fetched the weather for a given city, so let me call it for Delhi. So yeah, so it says location Delhi, region Ontario, country Canada. What? Country Canada? This is wrong. Let me see what's going on here. Delhi, country, Canada. Why country, Canada? Why is it showing country, Canada? Let me see, where is my app? Okay, let me keep my app as the first tab. So current location, Canada, name Delhi, Ontario, America, Toronto. What? Let me make it New Delhi. New Delhi. Let me make it New Delhi and see what it gives me. So New Delhi, country, India. Yeah, it is giving me the correct location now. Yeah, no problems. So I'll fetch the weathers for different cities one by one, and I'm going to populate all these weathers somewhere here. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me say I want to get the weathers for say New Delhi, and I want to get the weather for Canada, or for New York and for London. Okay, so I'll say fetch weather New Delhi. I'll also say fetch weather New York and London. So New Delhi, New York and London. Okay, London. Now instead of doing this, I'll return the response. Okay, so I'll say return response. I'll say let r is equal to await fetch weather. Okay, or maybe let me do one thing. Yeah, await fetch weather. I'll say await fetch weather, and yeah, so r is equal to await fetch weather New Delhi. I'll get the weather for New Delhi, and similarly I'll repeat the same thing for New York and for London. So r will contain the weather for New Delhi so far, and then r will contain the weather for New York and then for London. Let me make it an async function. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me make it Delhi, let me make it NYC, and let me make it London. Okay, so Delhi, NYC, London will contain the weather objects for these three locations. Okay, and also let me do one thing. Let me say use state snippet, and I'll say Delhi. I'll have a use state snippet for Delhi. I'll have a use state snippet for London, one for NYC and one for London. And yeah, so this is how I'm setting my, so I'll say set Delhi, I'll say set NYC and set London. This is the default weathers which I am bound to show every time. Okay, so these are the three weathers which I have chosen to show every time user is looking for some weather. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll come back to this weather API and I'll see how this weather API is structured. So where is that weather API link? Yeah, it's here. So I want to show the temperature, I want to show the region, country and name. So let me move here. I'll say you know what, whenever we have NYC, you show this div and show this information. You say the weather in NYC is, and I'll make it nyc.location.nyc.current.temperature C. Okay, so I'll say nyc.temperature nyc.current.temp_C. current.temp_C, and I'll say the wind kph is, and I'll say and the wind speed is and I'll say nyc.current wind underscore mph. Okay, so this is how I'm going to do for all the other countries. Okay, so let me, all the other cities, sorry, not countries. So let me paste it here and let me change it to Delhi. And I'll change this one to London. So this one to London. Let me see how this goes. I'll have to uncomment this one. I'll have to uncomment this one and also this one, and let's see. So it says destroys not a function. So you know what, you cannot do something like this in use effect. It's saying that you need to copy this and put it like this. Okay, so all React is telling me is that you cannot make the arrow function of use effect as an async function. Rather, what you can do is you can call this as fetch data and do something like this, which means that you can create an async function and call it and it will work. So as you can see that NYC weather is visible and London weather is visible and New York weather is visible. So let me beautify it a bit. Okay, so let me make it Delhi and I'll say inside of brackets I'll say Delhi dot current dot tempc and I'll also see how I can degree Celsius in HTML. So this is how you can put degree Celsius in HTML Unicode. Okay, so degree Celsius, this is how you can display degree Celsius. So yeah, so you can display it like this. Yeah, this is how you can display degree Celsius. So I'll also say Delhi and this should fix the bug. Okay, so Delhi 25 degrees Celsius, and I'll do the same for New York. I'll do the same for London. Okay, so yeah, Delhi, New York, London. So let me copy this thing and let me change this to Delhi, and let me copy this thing and change it to NYC. It was fine. And where is London? London is somewhere here. So I'll say the weather in London is this. And you know what, every time I'm saving it and changing it, it is calling these three APIs and it might exhaust my API key, which I don't want. So let me comment this out until I code this app. So it says that the weather in London is this and the wind speed is this. Fine, London and this. Yeah, so let me make it London and also let me make it NYC. No, not this one, this one. Let me make it NYC and yeah, Delhi, okay, and then London and London. Okay, cool. So let me uncomment this and see how it looks. So yeah, London 7 degrees Celsius, Delhi 25 degrees Celsius, wind speed is 2.2, Delhi is 25. So the last part is to create a custom weather search. Okay, so what I want is whenever somebody types in say Delhi, or maybe somebody types Hyderabad or some city in this word, it should show the weather over here. Okay, so let me see how we can do it. So before I do it, what I want to do is I want to hard code this response. So this response must be there in the console. Let me hard code this response because otherwise I'm going to exhaust my API key. So I'll say copy object. Let me see if this is copied. Yes, it is copied. I'll say, you know what, you return this. You don't call anything, you simply return this. Okay, so this is something which I'm doing temporarily, so don't worry why I'm doing this, and it is going to show the same thing for all the three cities. But I'm doing this just to save my API key, because my API key is very limited, because it is free plan and I'm not sure when my API key might get exhausted. Okay, so let us say somebody types in Hyderabad and clicks on search weather. So when somebody clicks on search weather, this function will get called handle click. Now what I'll do is I'll say, okay, so I have the query. So I'll say console.log query. So I'll print the query whenever somebody clicks on search weather. So let me see if the correct query is getting logged in the console or not. So I'll search weather, yes. Now there is some problem with this page. I think somewhere we have class is equal to, and I need to replace it with class name is equal to. There is another error, div cannot appear as a descendant of P. Where is this? Okay, so stroke line join. Okay, I'll have to fix all these things inside a footer as well. So I'll show you how to fix this. So let me see, where is stroke line join? Yeah, it's here. Let me toggle word wrap and I'll select this. I'll say change all occurrences and I'll remove this, and I'll select this character. I'll say right click, command palette, transform to uppercase, and this will transform it to uppercase. So yeah, I think we are almost done. And there are two more errors. There is one more error which says that you need to replace the class is equal to with class name is equal to. Yeah, this is done. Let me see how many more errors do we have. So it says stroke width, stroke line join. Where is this error? Stroke width, stroke line join. I think it's on the weather page. Okay, there is no stroke here. We have the navbar stroke. Okay, so let me change all occurrences and let me transform it to uppercase. There is a shortcut for transforming to uppercase, but it's fine. I don't want to remember the shortcuts. It's fine. There is the last error which we have here, and it says that div cannot appear as descendant of P. Let me see, where is div appearing as descendant of P. So let me search for a P tag. So this is a P tag. I think I have a div inside of this P tag. No, I don't have a div inside of this one. Yeah, I do have div inside of this P tag. Let me change this to div tag instead of P. How about that? Yeah, I'll have to do the same for the remaining tags. So I'll have to change this to div, because I don't want any errors in my application. It's just very uncomfortable to have errors in the application. I want my application to be error free. As you can see that my application is pretty error free. Okay, so inside of weather, I need to make this function work now. So I have got this query inside this handle click. What I'll do is I'll simply get the response of this fetch weather function. I'll say let weather is equal to await fetch weather. Okay, so I'll await fetch weather and I'll say query, and I'll make this as an async function so that I can use await. So I have the weather. Now I'll say set weather. Okay, and let me use another state. I'll say w set weather, or maybe weather set weather is equal to use state, and I'll call this one w, and I'll set it as weather. Now I'll say if we have something called weather, I want to display it right after the search box. So right after this button, I'll have a div and I'll say the weather of, I'll say query is, I'll say something. Okay, now let's see if this is visible. Yeah, this is visible, but I want to show it right after this button. So yeah, it is visible. Let me see if we have some margin padding or something somewhere, which is why this is actually taking a lot of space, a lot of gap is there. So we have this as a flex box, This has MB of 12. Let me change the MB of 12 inside of this and let me make it MB2. So where is this MB12? MB12, where are you? Yeah, it's there. So let me change it to MB2. Yeah, and let me add an MB inside of this div. So I'll say MB4 here. Yeah, this looks good. So I'll say the weather of query is, I'll say weather dot, or yeah, weather dot current dot temp c. I want to use this, and rather, you know what, I want to use this. Let me use this. Weather, and yeah, is this. And I'll say, and the wind speed is this. I'll use this also. So I'll say, and the wind speed is weather dot current dot wind mph. So this will give me this in miles per hour, and I can add mph here also, and I can add mph here also. So where is mph? So now I can see an error which says that cannot read properties of undefined. So I'll show this div only when the weather is ready. So I'll say weather and this. So whenever the weather is ready, then only we'll show this div. So if I reload this, so it says cannot read properties of undefined, reading current. So weather and weather dot current dot. So we are showing this div only when, okay, so I made a mistake actually. I need to wrap this div, not that one. I need to wrap this div inside weather and this, and yeah. So now if I say Delhi, and if I click on search weather, so it says weather of Delhi is 7 and the wind speed is this. Okay, you can have multiple parameters here. You can have different sort of UI here. This is a very basic one. You can even add some more parameters from here. Where is the weather API? Yeah, it's here. You can add some more parameters like humidity is this, precipitation is this, wind speed is this. There are a lot of parameters which could be added. Okay, I'm simply using only temperature and wind speed, but feel free to add more parameters. Now, instead of hard coding this response, remember we hard coded this response. What we are doing is we are fetching the live response. So now let me say weather of Kolkata. So let me search weather. So the weather of Kolkata is 30 degrees Celsius and wind speed is this. Let me do the same for Manali. So what's the weather of Manali? So if I search weather, Manali is minus 1.7 degrees Celsius. Now, if I remove this, I can say, let me do one more thing. If I remove the query, this div should not be visible. So I'll say if weather and query dot length is greater than 0. So the query dot length should be greater than 0, and initially the query is going to be blank. Yes. So if I say Mumbai and click on search weather, the weather of Mumbai is 31 degrees Celsius. Now if I remove this, the weather of Mumbai thing is gone. Okay, now I can say something like this: Andaman and Nicobar, and let me say the weather of Andaman and Nicobar is 27.7 degrees Celsius and the wind speed is 15.2 mph. Okay, awesome. So this is how it this weather app works. Now there is one more thing which I'm wanting to do. I want to remove all these console logs, plus whenever if query dot length is less than equal to 0, what I want to do is I want to set weather as undefined. Okay, I want to set weather as undefined. Okay, so that whenever I type, say I type Delhi here, Delhi is 1.3 and the wind speed is, so this is showing me the wrong weather. Let me call it New Delhi. Yeah, it's correct now. Now if I remove this, now if I type say Mumbai, it is showing me the weather of Mumbai is this and the wind speed is this. So if the query dot length is less than equal to 0, it should be, so the weather should be undefined. But if the, okay, so I need to put this one here. So if the query dot length is less than equal to 0 or e dot target dot length. So I've moved this here, which means that whenever we change something inside our input box, if the target dot length is less than equal to 0, weather will get undefined as the value. So let me make it New York. Let me click search weather. And now if I change this to say Kolkata, no, it doesn't work anymore. Why? Let me see. So whenever the e dot target dot length is less than equal to 0, or maybe less than equal to 3, let me call it less than equal to 3, whenever the e dot target dot value dot length, so I should call it e dot target dot value dot length. Okay, now this should work. So let me call it, let me punch in maybe Austria, and now if I make it Delhi, it doesn't work. Why? So what I want is whenever somebody removes this, the weather should become undefined. Whenever someone types anything, yeah, it works, cool. So if I say Austria and if I search weather, now I want to search weather for say Delhi, so this will not come. So as you can see that it is showing me wrong weather for Delhi. I need to let me say Jaipur. So if you want weather for Delhi, I think you need to put New Delhi instead of only Delhi. So the weather of Jaipur is 26, okay, which is correct. How about Kota? So Kota weather is 26 again, because Jaipur and Kota is pretty near. Now let me say Dankuni. So it's a remote place, and yeah, so Dankuni is not present in the database actually. So you might want to handle this error. So whenever somebody is not present in the database, whenever something is not present in the database, you might want to show an error that, hey, the weather is not found. So let me see what it gives me when I punch in Dankuni. So let me punch in some gibberish, and it says that no matching locations found. So if error is there in the response, then you want to handle it. How do you handle it? You can say that, you know what, if error in response, if object dot keys dot contains, and if it contains error, what do you want to do? You want to change the weather to undefined, or maybe you might want to do something. Okay, I'll say do something, and I want to ensure that this works. So let us say we have an object. So object.keys.contains is not a function. Okay, so object.keys, and which object? Response object. Okay, response object.keys.contains is not a function. So includes, contains or includes. So includes is a function in JavaScript, and it's an array function. Yeah, so let me change it to if object.keys response.includes. Oops. Let me reopen, close tab. Yeah, so let us say I have an object is equal to d2. Now if I say if object.keys, let me copy this. Now if I say object.keys and a dot includes d, and let me say console.log yes. So yeah, it gives me yes, but if I say dd, it doesn't give me anything. So yeah, this works. So whenever there is error in the response, you might want to do something. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, I hope that you understood how this weather app is coded. This was a very basic example of a weather app. I hope you enjoyed coding this weather app together with me. Now there are a lot of features which could potentially be added to this weather app, and I want all of you to add all those features to this weather app and make it more interesting because if you add features on your own, you're going to get a lot of confidence. So go get that confidence, make your own weather app, start adding some more features, and I will see you next time.